Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are having a fantastic day. So today's upload, as you can tell by the title of this video, it's actually getting recorded as of very late of the 22nd of November. So it's a Friday at 11:45 p.m. So basically Saturday, I'll be talking about the potential for a large pattern change. And, this isn't just I observed this all of a sudden, in the latest model run and decided to make a video on this. I mean, I've been keeping a track of this, keeping an eye on this for quite a while, and it's looking more and more likely as if there will be some cold air for early December at least. Now, the cold air may spill into the whole month of December, but it's still too early to say about that, but most likely it's looking very chilly for early December. I mean, a potential polar vortex like system. If this was January, we'd definitely have school cancellations, all of that sort. But I don't know if it will be cold enough quite with these temperatures, but it's going to be god-awful cold. I mean, seriously, this could be a historic cold. So let's get right into this video. Before we do, however, consider subscribing to this channel. Consider liking this video. I really enjoy making these videos for you guys, and I will not stop making these videos for you. As you enjoy them, I enjoy them. It's a symbiotic relationship. Let's just get into this video. Consider subscribing. Alright, so we're looking at this low pressure right now across southeastern U.S. Nothing really much. A little bit of snow out of it for the northeast. If the system really strengthens and organizes itself, maybe up to a foot in some locations, which you may be like, how is that little? Well, it's going to be isolated, as you can see, very portions of extreme Maine really only seeing the foot. And a foot's going to be like the maximum amount of snow. I don't think there will be widespread foot amounts, maybe some localized amounts. But notice after that we see an active pattern. I mean, a barrage of storms. And I will be making a video about this. So this is 11:47 right now p.m. where I will wake up tomorrow, probably 9 or 8, and or even later, who knows, and make a video about that tomorrow, about the storms, or maybe another snowstorm. We're starting to get the details more and more refined, and the models are starting to come in agreement a little bit, which is helping me out. But we have a barrage of storms which really keeps the cold air locked up to the north, where it basically doesn't allow it to come down, and it actually warms up much of the southern U.S. above average. If you look at some of these temperature anomalies, which basically tells us where it is above and below average, you can see some of those orange colors getting as far north as southern Canada. Right now, you can see it's pretty chilly across the west and the east. This is in particular across Friday, November 29th, so the day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday. There would be a giant storm organizing, and this thing has a potential to be a beast. It's just that the models are still refining it. The European is showing right now, as of the current model run, a pretty large storm. I don't know what the next model runs will take. The GFS is showing a fairly large system as well. Quite a bit of heavy snow with this one as well. Notice, not really nor'easter, but what it does, it moves off into southeastern Canada, very strong low, 960. That's almost like a weak hurricane or a tropical storm. I mean, if that thing were to come true, that would be a monster in terms of pressure. Possibly one of the lowest storms we've ever had. Look at that. But what it does is unlock a giant lobe of cold air. I mean, this thing may be ridiculously cold. Seriously, this cold will be equivalent to a polar vortex. It essentially will be. Notice how it's not just, cold air streaming in. Look at that. It's a little dislodged area. Look at that. It's a closed area right there. I don't know if you can see that. 486 millibars in pressure. So that is 540 is our freezing line, which is at this point, which would be Wednesday, December 4th. Around the Tennessee, Alabama, Arkansas area. I mean, this thing would be a monster. Look at that. Potentially, maybe, kind of excavating a nor'easter out of the south, the southern moisture. You can see a little bit of snow possibly for the northeast, but this thing would just bring horrendous cold. Notice there could be another system kind of in between these, almost like an Arctic front, and we see another lobe of Arctic air. I mean, we could just have attack after attack of cold air. Now let's look at some of the 2-meter temperature anomalies. Let's take it back a little bit, not to shock you right off the bat. Out ahead of these storms, again, I told you, where it will be very cold in the west and warm in the east, or mildly warm you can see it's not going to be horrendously above average. Maybe the day of the storm in those locations, you could see maybe up to 10 to 15 degrees above average, which will not be long-lived. However, again, once that storm passes through, that big one, Black Friday one, I guess I'll just call that the Black Friday storm, you could see, I mean, this is just real cold. Again, I mean, seriously, these temperatures will be brutally cold. This is almost 20 degrees below average widespread. Notice it's really, really cold, especially across Ontario and Quebec. That's just dangerous cold. And we see another lobe right there. So now let's look at some of these temperatures, you know, the 2-meter temperature shaded. And let's look at some of these temperatures. Notice, I mean, widespread negative 20s and teens up in Canada, which may seem to be like, oh, it's Canada, but again, it's not that far away. Look at that. That's probably around 300 miles, 500, maybe 600 miles away from the border right there. And that would be, you know, that's just really, really cold. Negative 30 right there. You're going to notice how we get widespread negative 18, negative 16, negative 14 across the upper Midwest. And we get negative 2, 8, single digits across the Midwest. And then the freezing line gets all the way into northern Florida, southern Georgia. And then we see another lobe right there. Notice 4 degrees, 5, 12. I don't have really a wind chill graph of this, but if we were to look at the wind chills, for which I'm not going to show you them because I really don't have them here, they would, you know, they could be easily double this amount in the negatives. Like instead of negative 18, what's 18 times 2? It could be negative 36. So this really has the potential to be dangerous, and I wanted to make a video about it way out ahead. I may make a video tomorrow or on Sunday about you know, the reasoning as to why is this happening, the MGO, the blob of warm air across the north. And right now I'm just discussing the forecast, but I could definitely show you and make a separate video, you know, discussing why this is happening. So let's look at the European model, and we see again that weak nor'easter, which it's not even going to really be a nor'easter, but it delivers a little bit of snow and rain across the northeast. And then we see again on Monday and Tuesday, we see that initial storm right there. You can see pretty strong as well. Not as strong as what the GFS is showing at 960, but 980 potentially, you know, very powerful. Notice there could be some nice warm air across the south. I mean, seriously, you could be getting in the 588 millibars. That's like 80s, almost 70s. So that's interesting to note of. So we have that first storm, and then this is the beast. I mean, the monster. The Black Friday storm system. You can see the European also brings it out. However, again, the European only goes out to 240 hours, so it does not really show the storm passing through completely, and therefore we don't see what it does with the cold air. However, if you were to look into let's look at the 500 millibar height anomalies, and let's see if we could go to North America so we could widen our view. Notice that there's some, you know, there's definitely the polar vortex, if you will, is kind of getting dislodged right here, and it kind of grows in size, especially in the last few runs. Notice right there, that could definitely move down to the south, which is basically essentially what the GFS does at this time frame. Notice that that's the storm right there, and it dislodges this polar vortex from the north right here and separates it. I mean, boom, look at that. The anomaly right there would just be, that's just really, really cold, guys. I cannot stress it enough. This would be extremely cold. Let's look at the ensemble members. Let's just look at the 2-meter temperature anomalies for well, let's just look at the northern hemisphere, really, if you know, while we're at it. Let's try adjusting the screen a little bit so I can zoom in. So this is a little bit better for you guys. Okay, so notice we start off, let's go back all the way to the beginning. We start off with waves of warm air and cold air. Just it depends on where the storm is. Right now, across the central and northern U.S., we're seeing a little bit of a colder wave, and then that really gets pushed out into the southeast. And you can see Florida will be getting some cold over the Tuesday and Monday time frame. Cold, relatively speaking, you know, more like below average. But, you know, some chillier air. Then we get an influx of warm air with that first storm, and then we see a little cool off, and a little decent, you know, cool off, nothing polar vortex like. Then we see some warm air yet again outside of that Black Friday storm, and then we see a gradual cool off, and the ensemble members kind of intensify this, or at least keep it throughout the next, you know, several days, if not a week. After the storm, you can see this is Sunday, and then it really takes hold for next week at least, with more cold air locked up to the north. So this is definitely a good setup for really just a cold outbreak and a snowy December. So I may be making a video about why this December may be snowy, because as of now it looks very snowy. I would like to show you the 8 to 14 day outlook and a 6 to 10 day outlook. Notice the 8 to 14 day outlook around that time frame of when the coldest air may be coming in, where they have just very cold air across the west and spilling into the northern U.S. slowly but surely, and kind of decreasing across the south. You may be wondering, why am I saying decreasing? Because if you look at the 6 to 10 day outlook, it's way more expansive, and it's more protruding into the north, almost up to Canada, the above average temperatures. But then the 8 to 14 day outlook, it really starts taking a hold of the U.S., and I'm expecting in the next couple of days for the 8 to 14 day outlook to look, like this, but mainly across the north and east and across just much of the U.S. I also would like to show you the 3 to 4 week outlook, which they release each Friday, and that is which is today is Friday. 11:56 Friday, but it's Friday. Notice this is from the 7th of December through the 20th, so this would just be a longer period of time. They just have below average temperatures for a good portion of the country, including the west, the north, the east, and getting to central U.S., and maybe just above average across the south, but even that's a little bit skeptical, as if you saw with some of these blasts of air, they're inconsistent, and some of them get just sneak their way into the southern U.S., like you can see right here, across the next coming days. The Monday, Sunday of Thanksgiving week will be rather chilly across the southeast, while it's warm in the U.S. Then it gets warm across the north, then it gets cold, and you can see it kind of sneaks in right there. But you can see that the ensembles are also showing that warm air, which is 6 to 10 day outlook represents. Let me show you the 6 to 10 day outlook. I already did, but I just want to, oh no, clicked the wrong thing. Clicked on day 7 sea level pressure. I want to look at the 6 to 10. You can see they're showing that above average, and the GFS ensembles showed it as well. Ensembles isn't just one model, so it has less room for error. But overall the pattern is first warm and cold on and off, then a little bit of cold, and then a giant cold blast of air could come in. So that is that. Thank you so much for watching. Consider liking the video. Consider subscribing to the channel. I'll catch you all guys in the next episode. See y'all. Bye.